Imagine being so rich that a world-famous car brand can't fire you because you're the only reason they're still in business. Most collectors are just customers, but the guys on this list are absolute glitches in the matrix. We are talking about private warehouses so massive that multi-million-dollar Ferraris get lost in the inventory for a decade. One builder decided his family could live in a small corner as long as his 6 cars had a glass palace. Today I'm ranking the most ridiculous builder car collections and showing you the man who actually owns 50% of every Rolls-Royce ever made. Number 10. Tim McMahon. Most guys beg their wives for a little corner of the garage. But Tim McMahon did the math and realized his cars needed a better house than he did. He bought a plot in Vancouver, Washington, and built a glass box that makes the actual home look like a storage shed. We are talking about 3,908 square feet of pure display space, designed specifically to make sure the cars look better than the people standing next to them. This is not some dark man cave with neon signs and a mini fridge. It looks like an Apple store for gasoline addicts, with polished floors that reflect the undercarriage of the cars, so you can eat off the oil pan. He didn't just park them there, he commissioned murals of the original designers on the walls, turning the room into a history lesson that you can drive. The lineup is short, only 6 cars, but when one of them is the Jade Idol Mercury, you don't need quantity. That car is a legend built by Gene Winfield, and keeping it in a regular garage would be like hanging a Picasso in a bathroom. McMahon even put lighted display cases inside the main house for his model cars, just in case he forgets what he loves while walking to the kitchen. He hosts secret viewing nights for a tiny circle of friends, turning his driveway into an exclusive club. It proves that you don't need 1,000 cars to win the game. You just need a garage that costs more than your neighbor's life savings. But while McMahon built a shrine for the cars he bought, the next guy on this list treats his garage like a laboratory for the cars he creates. Number 9. Chip Foose. You would expect a guy who designs famous cars for a living to drive the wildest stuff on earth, but Chip Foose's garage is surprisingly personal. It feels less like a showroom and more like a peek inside his brain. He doesn't collect for status. He collects machines that help him solve problems. The Savoy Automobile Museum actually had to beg him to loan them out just so the public could see what a design genius actually drives to lunch. The exhibit showed off 12 cars, and the mix is weirdly specific. You have 8 Fords, 1 Chevy, and a Myers Max, which looks like a dune buggy that learned how to punch. Then there's the Hemisphere, a car he designed from scratch that looks like it drove out of a cartoon and into real life. He keeps these things because they teach him about lines and stance, functioning like a 3D sketchbook he can touch. Most builders sell their best work to rich guys and never see it again. But Foose keeps the ones that matter. The collection includes a P32, a 32 Ford Highboy that looks simple until you realize every inch has been tweaked. He ignores the hype and the market value to focus on the metalwork, which is the ultimate flex. He doesn't need to buy a Ferrari to look cool. He just builds something that makes a Ferrari look boring. It's a masterclass in taste over money. But speaking of money, most people treat a $70 million asset like a fragile egg, while this next rock star treats his like a used Toyota. Number 8. Nick Mason. If you owned a car worth more than the GDP of a small island, you would probably keep it in a vacuum-sealed bag. Nick Mason, the drummer for Pink Floyd, looks at that logic and laughs. He owns a Ferrari 250 GTO, a car that is universally recognized as the holy grail of collecting, and he drives it to get groceries. We are talking about a vehicle that sells for $70 million today, and he's out there slipping the clutch in traffic like it's a rental. The craziest part is the math. He picked this thing up in 1977 for $37,000. Back then, people told him he was crazy for spending that much on an old race car. Now, it is arguably the single best investment in automotive history, outperforming gold, real estate, and the stock market combined. But he didn't buy it to get rich. He bought it because he wanted to race. He has put thousands of miles on a car that most museums would be terrified to even dust. Mason takes it to track days, slides it around corners, and lets the V12 engine scream the way it was designed to. It destroys the idea that value comes from low mileage. To him, the car is a member of the family, not a ticket to a payday. He proves that the only thing cooler than having a $70 million car is treating it like it's worth nothing. But while Mason owns a rare car, this next billionaire decided that wasn't enough. He wanted to own the actual colors the cars are painted in. Number 7. Michael Fuchs. Imagine walking into a dealership and being told, you can't buy a blue car because a mattress mogul owns the rights to the color blue. Michael Fuchs has turned Rolls-Royce into his own private paint shop, commissioning so many custom shades that the company practically works for him now. He owns 10 specific colors that are intellectual property, meaning if you want Fuchs blue on your car, you literally need a permission slip from him. It sounds like a joke, but he is dead serious. He took delivery of a Cullinan in Fuchs orange, marking his 12th custom order from the brand. This isn't just picking a swatch from a book. He brings them random objects, a flower, a scarf, a piece of plastic, and forces the engineers to match it exactly. Once they get the formula right, he locks it down so nobody else can have it. This is the ultimate form of gatekeeping. He isn't satisfied with just having the car. He needs to know that when he pulls up to a stoplight, it is physically impossible for the next guy to him to look the same. It turns his garage into a rainbow of exclusivity that costs millions of dollars to maintain. Most people customize their wheels or their interior. This guy customized the visible light spectrum. It is aggressive, it is petty, and it is undeniably impressive. But while Fuchs focuses on the paint, this next fashion icon proves that you can have a smaller collection and still beat everyone on pure value. Number 6. Ralph Lauren. In a world where guys try to impress you with how many cars they own, Ralph Lauren flips the script and impresses you with what they are worth. He only has about 70 cars. That sounds like a lot to us, but in the billionaire Olympics, it's a tiny number. The difference is that his tiny collection is worth an estimated $300 million. He doesn't buy junk. He only buys the final boss of every category. He treats his garage like an art gallery where the paintings move at 100 miles an hour. He owns a Bugatti Type 57 SC Atlantic, a car so rare that it's basically a mythical creature made of black metal. There are only a couple of them in the world, and owning one instantly ends any argument about who has the best taste. His cars are so perfect that the Louvre in Paris actually cleared out their art to display his collection. Think about that flex. He got a museum that usually houses the Mona Lisa to display his weekend toys. He keeps them in pristine condition, not just mechanically, but aesthetically, with every line and curve perfectly lit. It proves that you don't need a warehouse the size of a football field to win. You just need an eye for the things that are impossible to replace. He turned his garage into a heritage site. But on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have a guy who runs his garage like a sweaty, greasy, high-end factory. Number 5. Jay Leno. Jay Leno is what happens when you give a mechanic unlimited money and zero adult supervision. He doesn't just collect cars, he adopts them. His garage in Burbank is a sprawling complex that houses around 181 cars and 160 motorcycles. But the number changes every week because he can't stop buying stuff. The rule in his shop is simple: everything runs. If the building caught fire, he could theoretically drive every single car out of there. He has a full team of mechanics working around the clock to keep 100-year-old steam engines running next to modern McLarens. Speaking of McLaren, he bought his F1 back in the 90s for $800 grand. People thought he was nuts. Today, that car is worth nearly $20 million. He turned down offers that would set a normal person up for life because he actually likes driving the thing. You will see him on the 405 freeway driving a car that runs on steam, just to see if he can make it to work. He treats the collection like a public library, where he is the only borrower. He isn't afraid of rock chips or mileage. He is afraid of letting a machine die from sitting still. It's a blue-collar mindset with a billionaire budget, and it makes his collection feel alive in a way that others don't. But what happens when your collection gets so big that you literally forget you bought a Ferrari? Number 4. Ian Tiriac. There is rich, and there is I forgot I bought a Ferrari F40 rich. Ian Tiriac is a Romanian athlete turned business titan who treats cars like trading cards. He owns roughly 400 of them, but the public only gets to see about 170 in his gallery. The rest are tucked away in storage, waiting for their turn in the sun. The scale is so massive that he once admitted to finding a car in a garage he hadn't opened in 10 years. Imagine opening a dusty door and realizing you own a Porsche you didn't know about. That is the level of volume we are dealing with. His collection spans everything from 1899 horseless carriages to brand new electric hypercars. It forces him to run his garage like a military operation just to keep track of the keys. He opened the collection to the public because, frankly, what else do you do with 400 cars? It serves as a monument to his inability to say no to a good deal. He buys in bulk, he buys for history, and he buys because he can. The logistics alone, keeping the batteries charged, the tires fresh, the fluids full, would bankrupt a small town. He turned a hobby into a logistical nightmare, and he seems to love every second of it. But while Tiriac has a lot of cars, this next guy built a facility that makes Tiriac's place look like a carport. Number 3. Mark Pilock. If you drive through Melbourne, Florida, you might see a building that looks like a gigantic hurricane shelter. That is the American Muscle Car Museum, and it is 123,000 square feet of pure American violence. Mark Pilock built his fortress to house over 400 cars, and unlike the other guys who mix and match, he stays in his lane. He wants muscle. He wants big blocks, loud exhaust, and cars that smell like unburnt fuel. He has over 50 Corvettes and more Shelby Mustangs than Shelby probably ever saw in one place. But the kicker is the condition. Pilock is obsessed with low-mileage survivors. We are talking about cars that are 50 years old but have less than 100 miles on the odometer. He hunts them down, buys them, and puts them in this climate-controlled bunker to freeze them in time. He claims every single car in the building runs and drives, which is a bold statement when you have 442 of them. He uses the place for charity events, letting people walk through rows of brightly colored steel that represent the peak of American excess. It isn't just a garage. It is a preservation of a specific era when gas was cheap and safety was optional. It is clean, organized, and massive. But even this giant warehouse looks tiny compared to the madness of a literal pyramid in the desert. Number 2. Sheikh Hamad bin Hamdan Al Nahyan. You have to be a special kind of bored to build a pyramid for your cars. But that is exactly what the Rainbow Sheikh did. Drive 45 minutes out of Abu Dhabi, and you find a structure that houses a collection that defies logic. The rumors say he owns over 3,000 vehicles, but the ones on display are the freaks of nature. He likes things big. He built a Dodge Power Wagon that is 8 times the size of the real thing. And yes, it actually drives. He got his nickname because he bought a fleet of Mercedes S-Classes, one for every color of the rainbow, just to make a point. He keeps them in a row, looking like a bag of Skittles made of German steel. He holds the world record for the most 4x4 vehicles, with 718 of them logged. It feels like he is playing a video game with cheat codes enabled, spawning vehicles just to see what they look like. The collection includes a massive globe-shaped trailer that has rooms inside it, because why not? He isn't trying to impress the art crowd like Ralph Lauren, he is trying to confuse aliens. It is a spectacle of wealth that has zero filter. He buys what makes him laugh, and he builds what doesn't exist. It is glorious, chaotic, and completely unhinged. But even a pyramid full of giant trucks pales in comparison to the family that swallowed a luxury brand whole. Number 1. The Sultan of Brunei. This is the end of the line. The Sultan of Brunei didn't just buy cars, he bought the economy of the car world. In the 1990s, his family was buying 50% of all the Rolls-Royces produced. Think about that. Half of the factory's output was going to one family. They estimate the total collection sits around 7,000 cars, with a value that crosses the $5 billion mark. But it's the mystery that kills you. These cars were shipped to a humid tropical island and hidden in secret garages that nobody is allowed to enter. We know he commissioned hundreds of one-off cars, station wagon Ferraris, custom Bentleys, concept cars that were never meant to be sold. He just threw money at the manufacturers until they said yes. The tragedy is that many of these cars are reportedly rotting away. The humidity in Brunei is brutal, and without a massive army of mechanics, seals dry out and electronics fail. There are photos leaked by brave mechanics showing rows of McLaren F1s and Bugattis covered in dust and mold. It is a graveyard of dreams, a black hole where the world's rarest machines went to die. It is the ultimate display of power, owning something so beautiful and letting it rot just because you can. It's not just a collection, it's a warning. If any collection on this list made you question reality, tell us your story in the comments below. And if you're ready for more deep dives like this, just tap the next video on your screen right now. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you in the next one.